So we're continuing our discussion of the new slider object in the dialog component, and what we're going to show in this video is how you can get a pointer to the slider control and then program against it. So you can see I've added a new button here called set new min and max. So if I go to the slider right now and I move the slider all the way to the end, you can see the current value of the slider is 5, because we defined the range of the slider as being values between 1 and 5. But if I execute this command over here to set a new minimum value and a new maximum value, you can see that we're going to set a much higher maximum value, which means that the slider now moves back to 5 because it's still set to 5, but the maximum value has now been increased all the way up to 150, and the minimum value has now been changed to 10. So you can see that programmatically now we've changed the minimum and maximum value. So let's go now and see how we did that. So let's go and look at the on-click event over here, and now let me just describe what's going on in this code. So the first thing that you can see is we're creating a JavaScript variable called S1. I should technically put a var there to make it, to dim it as a local variable. And then I'm using the dialog objects method called getControl, which gets me a pointer to the slider control that is being used for this variable here called rating. So now that I have a value, now I have a S1, which is a pointer to that object, I can now go and set properties of that object. So S1.value will set the value of the slider to 67. S1.min will set its minimum value to 10. S1.max will set its maximum value to 150, and then S1.refresh will redraw the slider. So if I didn't call the refresh method, even though I had set a new minimum and max values, the slider would not have been updated to reflect that. So as soon as I do the refresh, the slider moves so that the actual slider that you move around is now moved so that it's reflecting a value of 67 in a range of 150. So if I were to go there and set that value to say 50, we would then move the slider approximately 1/3 down the list. So you can see there we're at almost the 1/3 position over there. So by getting a pointer to the slider control object, we can then set properties and query those properties, and then finally call the refresh method to redraw the slider. So now what I'm going to demonstrate is go back to working preview here, and you may recall that in the previous video we used the set value method to set the value of the slider to 4. So when I do that now, the slider position changes, but the message hasn't changed there because the message is redrawn in the slider's on slide event. So you can see when I move the slider like this, the message is being updated because the slider's on slide event is firing. But when I use this set value to set the value, the message doesn't update. So let's go back now and fix that. So I'm going to go back to my on click event over there, and then I'm going to just uncomment this code. So there we're going to go and get a pointer to the object. So we're getting a pointer now. We can actually replace this with the placeholder, which would be dialog.object, and then we're going to call the onSlide method of this control to refresh the message. So let's go ahead now and try this out. So you can see now when I press set value, the value is changed and also the message is updated. So what we've shown in this video is how you can get a pointer to the slider control object and then program against it. Thank you very much.